Hi everyone, and welcome to D&D Horror Stories with D&D Doge. Today, we have a theme about players that just play insufferable characters in their respective games of Dungeons & Dragons. But before we get into those, here's a kitty to help increase our resistance to the psychic damage that these stories are sure to induce. There we go. Now I think we are ready for some D&D horror stories. Player always goes against the tone and theme. By Reddit user NoPomelo7126. So let's get right down to it. The player in question we shall call Drake. If you have a theme and tone in mind, he will make sure to roll up a character that goes completely against those. Want an evil campaign? He'll roll up a good person. Told him to try and make one who is evil? Well, he immediately gives them a random redemption arc, and they're good now, after one session. Or maybe you have a simple quest giver for a one-shot. Oh, Drake will go on and on about how the quest giver is suspicious, and would do everything to just not do the one-shot idea, which was told to the players beforehand. He does this all the time. Well, my main questions at this point would be, did you guys talk to him about this? And if so, and he didn't change, why keep him in your games? The last straw was in my friend's campaign, who we shall call Kate. She said to roll up light-hearted characters for a fun, chill, short adventure about helping a very ugly king find a beautiful queen. His appearance aside, we have another problem. He has a very particular standard, and the villains against his kingdom always seem to fit the king's preferences. Now, that sounds like that could be a fun hook for a comedic themed game. So let's see how Drake mucks it up. Kate made sure to explain the expected tone to Drake, though Drake never made a character until session day, where he showed up 1 hour early. He wrote up a character right then and there, and finished when the other two players arrived, who we will call James and Erica. Drake said he was done with the sheet, and Kate, a bit panicked with this sudden situation, just gave it the green light. On paper, it really wasn't anything too out of tone, just a guy who needs a bit of motivating to get along with people. Yeah, we were wrong. Drake's character turned out to be an edgelord who hates the party, distrusts all the NPCs, difficult to motivate to go on adventures, drops multiple threats to the party members, and commits war crimes left, right, and center. Whenever he does something, the tone just shifts. Like that one time we knocked out all the enemies. Drake decided he will subject an enemy who can no longer defend herself into unnecessary pain and humiliation, such as dragging them across rocks and gravel to go to town for all to see. Well, I can see how that could go against the tone of light-hearted. This obviously goes against the tone, and I told him in character that he shouldn't disrespect himself with such an act as the fight is over, though his edgelord does not stop walking and responds, "Oh, this is not a human worthy of respect. They are nothing but trash. That's what bandits are, and anyone who gets in my way." Before I could respond, Erica's character cuts in and stands defiantly in front of the edgelord and says, "Well, I'm in your way. So what, I'm trash now? Well, I don't care. You better let her go, or else I'm gonna do something." At this point, inter-party conflict is inevitable. Well, maybe it has been from the beginning. Drake decides to continue walking away and prepares an action to cast Hold Person on anyone that moves. Erica decides to grapple Drake, but fails her save. Paralyzed, Drake looks down at her with a smile and says, "Trash," and continues to walk away. I cast Lesser Restoration on Erica, who immediately grapples Drake, while James takes the bandit away from Drake. Drake begins laughing, like anime MC edgelord laughing. He went on about this edgy speech on how he knew everyone was going to turn on him, how everyone is naive, how everyone is soft. Drake then said, "They steal and plunder, yet you would protect them. But if I do this..." He then tells us that his edgelord would grope Erica's character. Whoa, well, that came out of nowhere. With this, Kate says, "No. I'm fed up. He has been doing this crap for years. We were all having fun in a light-hearted combat. Now the tone has completely shifted. He always does this, but the groping was a new line he had crossed." Out of character, I said, "Bro, do you gotta crap on every single idea?" He responds with something along the lines of, "Sorry, you can't handle dark characters?" I'm like, WTF. I'm the one who ran an evil campaign where you pulled up a good guy. Then there was a bit of back and forth between me and Drake. Kate, the DM, steps in, breaks off the argument, and ends the session. She told everyone to cool down for 30 minutes to an hour, come back, and have a group discussion. She and Erica go into her room. I hang out with James in the kitchen, and Drake smokes outside. 1 hour passes, so we come back, and he plays victim. He says all these tones and settings are restricting, limiting creativity and variety within the party. I respond that there are many character ideas for a light-hearted game, unless he means to say every light-hearted story characters are all the same. We go back and forth again, to which Kate cuts in and says we should address the most important issue that day, that being Drake's edgelord wanted to grope Erica's character. Drake has no defense. He pulls up excuses about how it was his character, that he was just trying to prove a point, and he meant nothing sexual about it, etc., etc. What on earth kind of point was he trying to prove by doing that? Kate was having none of it. She firmly tells him that he can break the tone if he wants, but he can't break the table's rules. No sexual harassment. Drake was about to say something, but Kate cuts in again with, "No sexual harassment." There was silence for a bit, and it wasn't directed at me, but I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I did something wrong. But why? OP didn't do anything off tilt at all here. Drake apologized. It felt a bit half-assed, but at least he apologized, though still playing victim, like saying things under his breath. "Can't be different nowadays," and "can't separate player and character." Erica did not say a word the whole time, but she was very uncomfortable. Drake left not long after. Erica admits to me that Drake made her feel very uncomfortable, since she was a victim of abuse. I didn't even know that. James and Kate knew about it already, so I guess that explains Kate's reaction. She thanked me and Kate for standing up for her, even though I really wasn't. I was just fed up at Drake's tone-breaking antics. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think that was the end of the story, well, just last week, as I am writing this, James sent me a screenshot of his chat with Drake. James is a quiet fellow in person, but in chat, he can go on and on, so that's where he confronted Drake. After all, he's the one who brought Drake into the group, so he feels responsible. In that screenshot, Drake apparently knew Erica was a victim of abuse, and he pulled that crap. Any ounce of respect that I had for him just plummeted. I don't know. I just don't get it. How can people with their own personality, upbringing, background, feelings, who can speak and talk like you and me, just turn out to be like this? What happened? What was missing? A punch in the face, maybe? Well, OP, some people in this world are just a-holes. Ones that maybe should have been punched a few times in their lives to learn not to be such dicks. but were protected from any of that. So they go through life being a-holes with little to no repercussions. What Drake did to Erica's character was way stepping over a line, especially seeing how he knew about her past, and Kate stopping the session right then was the best thing she could do at the time. Now, I would say it would be time to discuss talking to Drake again out of game, and tell him that if he doesn't cut the crap, that he won't be playing with you guys anymore. If you guys even want to give him another chance in the first place, in which I could understand if you guys didn't. Some people just have a talent of making things that are supposed to be fun and taking a huge crap all over it. But before we move on, I hope that you're enjoying the video. And if you are, I hope you consider giving it a like and subscribing if you haven't already. And to help you consider it further, here is another kitty. Now, that's 2 kitties in one video. I think that would be worth a like, right? But with that said, let's move on to the next post. Group absolutely new to D&D, 4 sessions in, and there is an unbearable character making everyone's life miserable and wanting to quit. Need advice. By Reddit user Neoteng. With Baldur's Gate 3 making Dungeons & Dragons a bit more mainstream for your average gamer, a guy at work recruited other colleagues to try D&D for the very first time. The only person who knows anything about the game is the DM, who is super lovely, and basically just said, "No worries, I'll explain everything needed as we go along, just so you have some context on how green we are and how little we know." So we did a session 0, then a one-shot, and it was all fantastic. Then he said, "Next time, we start a long campaign, so come with your characters created." So we did, and all seemed okay to start with. But the fun has been deteriorating as of late, and we're just 4 to 5 sessions in. And the main factor for this can be attributed to one character. So basically, this colleague created a character that is incredibly antagonistic to NPCs. He is, all the time, leading the questioning, but not in an interesting way. In fact, it seems like an English language lesson with all the W's. Who, where, what, when, and why, which, in return, gives zero useful or insightful information, interrupting the rest of us to chime in, wanting to jump straight into the worst types of situations, spending half an hour trying to get a potion for cheaper. All of this while trying to, or straight up rolling intimidation checks, misremembering who killed who, basically saying he killed a monster that I had killed, which I found infuriating. They are also incredibly intrusive towards the rest of the character's players, asking repeatedly and on different sessions for entire characters' pasts, like, "Tell me your life story now," even when we decline. Basically, the character has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, doesn't have a heart of gold or anything like that. The only thing they say that might seem like a redeemable quality is that, quote, "Since you helped me in this, I will follow you everywhere now," which in practice just leads to all the things mentioned above. So basically, we noticed that for us to do anything at all, or at least anything fun, we need to cater to this character all the time. So phrasing things in a way the character reluctantly agrees, or having to spend energy convincing them why chopping the head off the leader of a town might not be a good idea. And it's just so effing boring and exhausting, man. Another colleague decided to simply not talk anymore because they would get constantly interrupted when talking to NPCs or harassed about their past. Fast forward to a few days ago, and I decided to drop a message to the guy. Very cordial, but basically asking them if they think their character could chill a bit and tone down the harassment about others' characters' pasts since it was upsetting other players at the table. What I got in reply was definitely not what I was hoping for. He said, quote, "So my character is like this because he doesn't know boundaries. I'm not trying to actually make him unbearable, but it is who he is as a character. He doesn't know manners either. If anyone in the D&D session is annoyed about this, that's a bit upsetting, because I did say before we even started that my character is very stubborn and doesn't have a soft side." So this last part is where my greenness comes into play. I don't want to thwart someone's creative juices, but I don't know if this sort of character behavior is something common in the game. He did say that his character was dumb and careless at the start, but the no boundaries line was a bit worrying. Maybe D&D is not for me, if this is what it's all about. But if it's not meant to be like this, what might be the best way of tackling it? Since, obviously, they are very attached to their creation and how they behave. Otherwise, me and another colleague are so close to leaving the table. Thanks in any case, and sorry for the long post. Well, OP, it sounds like you have a murder hobo that guy with a dash of Spotlight Hog thrown in as well. Since it sounds like everyone is new to D&D, aside from the DM, I would say to have a state of the game session, maybe before your next one, in order for everyone to bring their concerns to the table. It's okay for that player to be attached to his character, but everyone has to make it known how his playstyle is making the game not fun for everyone else. Also try to impart on him that in order for a game of D&D to be successful, you kinda have to have a party that has a reason to stick together. Do they always need to get along? Not necessarily, as inter-party conflict in a roleplay sense can make for some great storytelling. But having a character that is constantly against doing stuff, always prying into characters' backstories, and interrupting people during roleplay can make the game a headache for others. Not to mention the murder hobo tendencies that he showed by wanting to cut the head off of some random NPC. Hopefully, after this, he will be understanding and would calm down his character's less desirable traits a bit. He can still play a dumb character, but also try to give the other players moments to shine as well. But that is all I have for you today. Now, I realize that today's video was a bit shorter than normal, but hopefully the 2 kitty parts made up for that. Just remember that I appreciate all of you and hope your games remain horror story free. Until next time.